My name is Julia. I'm standing in my grandfather's study, the weight of the world on my shoulders. The room is filled with the smell of old books and pipe tobacco, a familiar scent that usually brings me comfort, but tonight it's suffocating. I'm holding a manila folder, the evidence of my parents' betrayal, and my hands are shaking. Just a few hours ago, I was sitting in my tiny studio apartment, looking at real estate listings. I had saved $35,000 over 7 years, a small fortune for me. It was my ticket to a new life, a place of my own away from the silence and neglect of my childhood home. But when I checked my bank account, the balance was a mere $42.15. My heart stopped and a cold wave washed over me. I couldn't believe it. I had worked so hard, sacrificed so much. I had scrubbed dishes, filed papers, and missed out on so many things to save that money. And now it was gone. Stolen by my own father, who was supposed to be looking out for me. I drove to my parents' house, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles were white. When I walked in, they were sitting at the table eating lunch. My brother Ethan was there too, showing off his new laptop. It was the same laptop that had been purchased with my money, according to my bank statements. I confronted my father, and he admitted it. He said they had used my savings to pay for Ethan's tuition and buy him a new laptop. He said Ethan needed the opportunities, that I was already fine on my own. I was shocked and angry. I had always known that my parents favored Ethan, but I never thought they would go this far. I couldn't stay there. I grabbed my things and left, determined to get to the bottom of this. I drove back to the house later that night, in the pouring rain, to get my birth certificate and other important documents. I was afraid that if I left them there, my parents would use them to steal my identity. When I got to the house, I heard them watching TV and eating popcorn. They were so comfortable, so oblivious to the pain they had caused me. I crept into the kitchen and found the admin drawer. Inside, I found a loan application for $50,000 in my name, with a forged signature. My mother had done it. They were going to take out a loan in my name and leave me with the debt. I was furious. I took pictures of the evidence and left the house, determined to get help. I drove straight to my grandfather's house. He's a retired Superior Court judge, and I knew he would know what to do. When I arrived, he could see that something was wrong. He sat me down in his study and listened as I told him everything. He was angry, too. He said that what my parents had done was a crime, and he was going to help me stop them. He called the credit bureaus and froze my credit. Then he started drafting a repayment agreement. He said he would invite my parents to dinner next Friday and present them with the evidence. He said he would use the threat of prison to get them to sign the agreement. I was scared. I didn't want to go to the police. I didn't want my mother to go to prison. But I knew I had to do something. I had to take back control of my life. Looking back, I realized that the signs were always there. I was the invisible child in my family, the one who was always overlooked and taken for granted. Ethan was the golden boy, the one who could do no wrong. My parents doted on him, gave him everything he wanted, while I was left to fend for myself. I remember when I was 7 years old. I woke up hungry one morning, smelling bacon downstairs. I went down to the kitchen, hoping for a hot breakfast. But there were only 3 plates on the table. My father was reading the newspaper, my mother was making pancakes for Ethan, and Ethan was already sitting at the table, eating bacon. I asked if I could have a pancake, but my mother told me there wasn't time. She said Ethan needed his energy for his soccer game. My father told me to be selfish and just eat some fruit. The bananas were brown and mushy, so I didn't take one. I just grabbed my backpack and walked to the bus stop alone. As I got older, the gap between me and Ethan grew wider. I got straight A's in school, but my parents never seemed to notice. They were too busy worrying about Ethan's grades and his sports. I taught myself algebra because I was too afraid to ask for help. I knew they would just tell me to figure it out myself, that they were too busy with Ethan. I started working when I was 16. I got a job at a diner, washing dishes and bussing tables. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a way to escape my home. The manager, Mrs. Thompson, was kind to me. She noticed when I worked hard and gave me extra tips. She told me I was a hard worker and that I was going to go far. I started saving every penny I earned. I worked weekends, evenings, and holidays. I missed out on so many things with my friends, but I didn't care. I knew that if I wanted to have a better life, I had to work for it. One evening, my father came into the kitchen while I was counting my tips. He saw the jar of cash on the table and asked me what it was for. I told him I was saving for college and for an apartment after. He said that keeping cash in the house wasn't safe and that he could help me open a bank account. I was hesitant at first, but he seemed so sincere. He said he had an account at the main bank in the city and that he could open a sub-account for me. He said he would be the custodian, but it would be my money. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that he was looking out for me. So, the next day, we went to the bank. I handed over my jar of cash and my paychecks, and we set up the account. For the next 7 years, that account was my lifeline. I continued to work hard, through high school and then through college. I went to a state university because it was cheaper, even though I got into better schools. I didn't want to take out huge loans. My parents paid for Ethan to go to a private college out of state. They paid for his dorm, his meal plan, his fraternity dues. They bought him a car for his graduation. They said he needed to network, that he needed to make connections. I took the bus to my classes. I packed peanut butter sandwiches. I worked the night shift at a library filing books. Every month, I deposited money into the account my father helped me set up. I watched the number grow, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000. By the time I was 23, I had saved nearly $35,000. I thought I was finally going to be able to have a life of my own. I was going to use that money to put a down payment on a small condo, to start my real life away from the silence of my childhood home. But then, everything fell apart. Now, as I sit here in my grandfather's study, waiting for him to finish drafting the repayment agreement, I feel a sense of determination. I'm not going to let my parents get away with this. I'm going to fight for what's mine. I know that the road ahead will be difficult. My parents are going to be angry, and they're going to try to make me feel guilty. But I'm not going to let them. I'm going to stand up for myself, and I'm going to show them that I'm not the weak, invisible girl they thought I was. I'm going to take back control of my life, and I'm going to build a future that I can be proud of.